At the state college sports meet tennis finals, everything was going smoothly, until Vanessa snapped. She stormed over, eyes blazing, her voice rising over the noise of the crowd. $100,000? You spent $100,000 on this piece of crap racket? Are you out of your damn mind? You're such a reckless, spoiled brat. Before I could speak, she grabbed Mason, a student from the scholarship program, and yanked him forward like a courtroom exhibit. Look at him. His monthly living allowance is $800. You could have helped someone like him. Don't you think that money could have actually made a difference? I frowned. That's my money. I'll spend it however I want. What does Mason have to do with me? Just because he's poor, I'm supposed to sponsor him? There are plenty of people struggling in this world, am I supposed to take care of all of them? She stared at me like I was inhuman. When I didn't back down, she lost it. Fine. If you insist on acting like this, hand over all your credit cards. I'm going to be your wife one day, and your finances will be my responsibility. From now on, any money you spend goes through me. You'll need to file a request and get my approval. I looked at her, silent. But in that moment, it was like seeing a stranger. Without another word, I turned and called Grandpa Henry. Call off the engagement, I said. If she felt so deeply for Mason, I was more than happy to let her have him. You're serious? Grandpa Henry's voice came through the line, calm but cautious. I am. Why? No reason. I just don't love her anymore. There was a pause on the other end, then a deep sigh. All right. Set up a dinner with her family. You'll need to tell them in person, make it clean. Got it. I hung up, grabbed my racket, and walked back onto the court. By the end of the match, I'd claimed the men's singles championship. And thanks to my performance, our class took home the team title as well. I was the hero of the day. Everyone was buzzing with excitement, rallying to plan a celebratory dinner. Go ahead without me, Vanessa suddenly said. Mason's not feeling well. I'll stay with him. Her words hit the crowd like a bucket of ice water. The energy vanished. Silence swept over the court. Dozens of eyes turned toward me, including the faculty. Everyone knew. Vanessa and I had grown up together. We were engaged. We were supposed to be inseparable. I looked at her, and something in my chest twisted. My vision blurred for a second. 20 years. 20 years of memories, of growing up side by side, of her being my person. And yet, in her heart, I didn't even measure up to Mason, a guy she'd only known for a few months. Come on, don't kill the vibe, one classmate tried to lighten the mood. Tonight's all about Ethan. You should be there. Mason chimed in weakly, you should go. I'll be fine on my own. As soon as he said it, he covered his mouth and coughed, twice. Vanessa's expression changed instantly. Her whole face tensed with worry. She leaned over and patted his back, scolding him gently, you call that fine? How am I supposed to leave you like this? A few classmates noticed the look on my face and jumped in, trying to smooth things over. Vanessa's just, incredibly kind, one of them said with a nervous laugh. She can't bear to leave someone sick and alone. Yeah, another agreed quickly. It's rare to have someone so compassionate in our class. Compassionate? Is that what this was? I felt something tighten in my chest. It hurt. So much. Just because she's kind, does that make it okay to use my money, without asking, to buy things for Mason? To give him my clothes, my shoes, even one of my watches? Did she forget that I'm her fiancée? Or worse, does she remember and simply not care? You guys still standing around, she snapped, exasperated. Whatever. Do what you want. I'm taking Mason to the hospital. She slipped her arm around him and helped him up. They made it a few steps before she glanced back over her shoulder at me. "Oh, right, almost forgot," she added with a smirk. "You only won today because of that $100,000 racket. Your skills on their own? Pretty average." I laughed. Actually laughed. Then nodded. "You're right. 20 years. 20 years of shared history, and this was where it ended. Not with a bang, but with a smile and a lie between two strangers." "That was seriously messed up," Brandon said, pacing the dorm like a caged animal. "Yeah," Kyle agreed, his voice sharp with frustration. "You trained for months, Ethan. Up at 4 a.m. every morning, back at 10 every night. She has no right." "She owes you an apology," Marcus added, already half out the door. I grabbed Brandon's sleeve before he could charge after her. "Let it go," I said quietly, smiling. "There's a saying. To someone who doesn't love you, your efforts are invisible. And if that's the case, why waste time proving anything? Come on," I added, grabbing my coat. "Tonight's on me. Let's go celebrate." The bar was alive, laughter, music, beer flowing like water. For once, everyone was relaxed. Because Mason wasn't there. No one had ever treated him differently because of his background. He was always invited to everything. But Mason had a way of making the air go cold. $50 for a fruit platter? Must be nice being rich, he'd say with a lopsided grin. Can't afford a gift like you guys. All I got is a happy birthday. My family's broke. Must be great being able to toss clothes the second they tear. He never said it outright, but he wore that helplessness like armor, casting the rest of us as spoiled brats flaunting our money. And whenever things got awkward, Vanessa would step in. Always on his side. "Hey! Snap out of it, you're the man of the hour tonight," Kyle grinned, handing me an ice-cold beer. He jogged over to the jukebox, fingers flying over the screen, and queued up Ed Sheeran's "Perfect." It used to be my favorite song. Now, it grated. Each note felt like a jab to the ribs. "Change it," I said quietly. "Put on Adele. Someone like you." Kyle hesitated for a beat, then gave a slow nod and tapped a new selection. The first haunting chords rang out. And just then, the door slammed open. Vanessa walked in. With Mason. The atmosphere collapsed. The warm buzz of the crowd flatlined. Even the bassline of the speakers felt jarring now, like someone had tuned the room to the wrong frequency. Vanessa walked in like nothing was wrong, her smile beaming under the bar's dim lights. "Mason convinced me to come," she announced brightly. And honestly, he made a good point. Plus, I think everyone should see the new him. She clapped her hands together like a host introducing a game show contestant. Da-da-da-da. Well? Isn't he handsome? The room froze. I looked at Mason. He was wearing my jacket. My jeans. Even the Nike sneakers on his feet were mine. I was the first to applaud. "Yeah," I said flatly. "Very handsome." Vanessa lit up, thrilled by my response. "Knew you'd come around. Mason's always been good-looking, really. He just didn't have the means to show it before. But now? Honestly, I think he's just as good as any of you." I smiled. "Barely. Handsome? Wearing my clothes, walking in my shoes, he looked more like a bad impersonation than anything else. A clown dressed in borrowed costume. A mudfish trying to fly. But love makes even shadows look golden, I suppose." Vanessa scanned Mason from head to toe, then paused, a spark lighting in her eyes. "Something's missing," she murmured. Then she turned to me. "Take off your watch. Give it to Mason." I froze. And looked down at my wrist. It was that watch, the one she gave me on my birthday. The first real gift she ever gave me. I'd worn it like a symbol. A promise. A tether between us. And now, she wanted me to hand it over. Just like that. I was quiet for a long time. When I finally spoke, my voice was low and raw. You sure about this? Vanessa rolled her eyes. What's there to be sure about? It's just an old watch. You can afford another one. Then, without hesitation, she stepped forward, unfastened the band from my wrist, and carefully slipped it onto Mason's. Like it had never meant anything at all. And Mason, he looked straight at me as it clasped into place. Smiling. Eyes gleaming. Daring me to react. You're finally growing up, Vanessa said with satisfaction, looping her arm through Mason's as if she were crowning him king of the night. She dragged him toward the small stage near the back and queued up a duet, Lady Gaga and Bradley Cooper's Shallow. They sang together, all aching harmonies and faux sincerity. Mason couldn't carry a tune, but it didn't matter. She gazed at him like he was the only person left in the world. I sat at the bar, watching. Expressionless. I wasn't growing up. I was learning how to stop caring. By the end of the night, Vanessa was drunk, slurring words, giggling, draped all over Mason like he was home base. She clung to his shirt and murmured something into his shoulder. Take me back to the dorm. Mason looked over at me, eyebrows lifted like he didn't know what to do. But his eyes sparkled with smug satisfaction. I held his gaze for a second. Then said evenly, if she wants you to take her, then take her. I pushed open the bar door. Cold night air hit my face like a slap. And just beneath it, the sting behind my eyes told me I was still human after all. The next morning, one of Vanessa's roommates found me by the student center. Hey. Vanessa didn't come back to the dorm last night. Did she call you? I froze. Said nothing. She immediately realized her mistake. Her face flushed, and she mumbled something about being late before rushing off. I wandered alone toward the track field. No goal. No destination. Just one foot in front of the other. My thoughts kept circling back to her, Vanessa. She'd been part of my world for as long as I could remember. From scraped knees to campus lectures, she was always there, woven into every stage of my life. From kindergarten to college, I stood behind her like a shadow, like armor. Made sure she never got hurt. Not if I could help it. She was in elementary school when an older kid made her cry. I marched her straight to his classroom, fists clenched, demanding he apologize. It turned into a fight. I left with a split lip and a black eye. But when she got that apology, when I saw her smile through tears, I laughed too, bruises and all. On her 18th birthday, I bought out the entire city's fireworks. Every newspaper in town ran her photo on the front page. That night, our family sat down and made it official, we were engaged. I didn't sleep a wink. I was too happy. Too sure of a future we'd already started building. I thought we'd grow old together. That our story would be the kind that ended with silver hair and wrinkled hands, still holding tight. But then came Mason. And suddenly, everything changed. She didn't tease me anymore. Didn't curl up beside me to pout or playfully tug at my sleeve. What came in their place were commands. Criticisms. Yelling. And I endured it, over and over, not because I was weak. But because I loved her. At least, I thought she loved me too. Up until yesterday, I would have sworn it. I would have bet my life on it. But today made it clear. She didn't love me, not the way I loved her. And I couldn't understand it. How do 2 decades lose to a few months? How does 20 years of memories get outbid by a fleeting spark? I searched myself for an answer. Came up empty. I don't know how long I'd been walking the track before I heard someone calling my name. Vanessa. And, of course, Mason was right beside her. I walked over slowly, staring at her face. So beautiful. So familiar. And still, it hurt like hell just to look at her. But I didn't need to guess anymore. The answer was in front of me. She avoided my eyes, voice soft. Mason fell last night, hurt his back. I stayed with him at the hospital. Yeah, Mason added, rubbing his lower back with an exaggerated wince. Still sore as hell. I watched him. Quiet. Still. Putting on a show. Fell and hurt your back? Sure. Could have happened. But how exactly? Was it really a fall, or was it something a little more passionate? Didn't matter now. Whatever the truth was, it had already happened. I nodded. Got it. I turned to leave. But Vanessa grabbed my arm. Wait, do you not believe me? No, I said, calm as ever. I'm just tired. I gently pried her hand off mine. But she lunged forward and wrapped her arms around me. Come on, don't be mad, she pleaded. I forgot to text you last night, that's all. I swear, it won't happen again. She was right about one thing. It won't happen again. I peeled her off and took a step back. Anything else? Mason stepped forward with a grin. Actually, yeah. I wanted to thank you for the watch. I really like it, it's incredible. But I come from a poor family, so I can't give you anything fancy in return. He lifted a plastic grocery bag, brimming with shiny red apples. I saw these at the market and thought they looked nice. Picked out the best ones for you. Hope you don't mind. He held them out like a prize. But all I saw was mockery. A performance. I stared at the bag like it was something venomous. Then, without a word, I kicked it over, apples scattering across the pavement. What the hell is wrong with you? Vanessa snapped, voice sharp with disbelief. Mason picked those out for you. But when she met my eyes, cold, sharp, unflinching, she faltered. Her voice caught in her throat. She took a step back. You forget? I asked quietly. I'm allergic to apples. Her expression changed instantly, shock giving way to guilt. But when she saw Mason standing there, frozen, eyes wide, hands still hovering in midair like a scolded child, her gaze softened. She looked at me again, this time with narrowed eyes and a furrowed brow. Even if you're allergic, you didn't have to kick them. You could have just not eaten them. Mason was trying to be thoughtful. Thoughtful? I said nothing. Some things don't deserve answers. It's just an allergy, Vanessa snapped. You've had it your whole life. Take a couple pills, you'll be fine. It's not like it'll kill you. I froze. What did you just say? I stared at her, stunned. Not like it'll kill you? She really said that? Then. I laughed. Quietly. Bitterly. You're right, I said. It won't kill me. But I don't like it. Isn't that enough? I turned to Mason. You seem to really like my stuff. Good news, I've got plenty more where that came from. Old clothes, sneakers, jackets. I'll have someone send them to you. The words had barely left my mouth before Vanessa exploded. That's too far. Apologize to Mason right now. I scoffed. Apologize? For what? Did I lie? Mason reached out to stop her, voice trembling. Vanessa, don't. It's my fault. Then he turned to me, tears welling in his eyes. I didn't know you were allergic to apples. I'm really sorry. Please forgive me. I laughed again, but this time, colder. Sharper. Guess what? Turns out women aren't the only ones who can play both sides. Men can too. Disgusting. You don't owe him an apology, Vanessa snapped, pulling Mason upright, her eyes like blades. You did nothing wrong. He's the one who crossed the line. He should apologize. She stepped forward. I'm telling you, say you're sorry to Mason. I let out a single, dry laugh. Then turned my back and walked away. Behind me, Vanessa's voice ripped through the bar like a whip. If you walk out that door, don't expect me to speak to you ever again. I didn't look back. A small smile tugged at my lips. Sounds perfect to me. In the days that followed, Vanessa stuck to her word. She spent every waking moment with Mason, laughing with him, walking beside him, even skipping class just to hang out on the campus lawn. Not once did she call. Not a single message. And whenever we passed each other on campus, she looked right through me, like I was a stranger. My roommates eventually asked what happened. I just shrugged and smiled. What could have happened? We broke up, that's all. They exchanged glances, visibly confused. They knew. They'd seen how much I loved her, how deep it ran, how long it had lasted. But Vanessa? She never really saw it. Saturday came. Vanessa showed up at my dorm unannounced, with Mason, of course. She didn't even wait to be invited in. Both families are getting together today, she said, tone clipped. So do me a favor and fix your face. Don't show up sulking like some spoiled prince. I glanced past her at Mason. Is he coming too? Of course, she said casually. Mason brought some local gifts for your parents, to thank them for everything you've done for him. I looked at the bag in Mason's hand. Almonds. Raisins. Mason smiled politely. It's nothing fancy, just a little something from home. Just, a gesture. A gesture? I stared at the bag, at the carefully rehearsed expression on his face. Right. I forced a polite nod, saying nothing more. But inside, the cold laugh echoed louder than ever. Heartfelt gift? Try calculated move. If Mason was set on humiliating himself, who was I to stop him? And Vanessa, she knew damn well today was a formal gathering between our two families. Yet here she was, showing up with a guest. An outsider. She wasn't just slapping my face, she was embarrassing her own parents too. But judging by the look on her face, she either hadn't realized it. Or worse, she had, and simply didn't care. After all, everyone knew how much I loved her. Loved her to the bone. And that love gave her the arrogance to think I'd forgive anything. But she forgot something, there's one thing love can't survive. Betrayal. You don't betray someone once. You open the door to doing it again and again. And I'd be damned if I let myself be a fool twice. So Vanessa, today will be the last time we sit at the same table without raising our voices. I looked at her, long and hard, one final time, then turned and got into the car. Vanessa felt it. That look unsettled her, made her chest tighten. She opened her mouth to say something, but Mason jumped in first. Let's get in, too, he said brightly. Today I really want to thank your parents, for raising such an amazing daughter. I heard it from inside the car. That tone. That phrasing. I laughed under my breath. Couldn't help it. He made it sound like he was the groom about to meet the in-laws. I leaned forward and told the driver, voice cold and clear. Drive. When I arrived at the hotel, Vanessa's mother, Margaret, greeted me warmly, linking her arm through mine with a smile. You just get more handsome every time I see you. Vanessa's father, Richard, stepped forward. Where's Vanessa? She didn't come with you? As if on cue, the door to the private dining room opened. Vanessa walked in. With Mason. The air in the room shifted immediately. Henry, my grandfather, stiffened beside me. Richard and Margaret's faces darkened in unison. Richard's tone turned sharp. "And who's this?" Before Vanessa could respond, Mason stepped forward with an easy smile. "Nice to meet you all. I'm Vanessa's classmate. I came today to express my thanks." He placed a small bag on the table. "Almonds and raisins." Margaret gave it a glance, her voice cool. "Thanks? For what?" Mason didn't miss a beat. "I'm on financial aid at school. Vanessa's been incredibly kind to me, and I just thought, well, if she turned out like that, it's gotta be because of the way you raised her. So I begged her to bring me along today. I wanted to thank you in person and meet the wonderful parents who raised such an amazing woman." Say what you will, Mason had a silver tongue. His flattery was smooth, calculated. And it worked. Richard and Margaret's expressions began to thaw. "Well," Richard said, nodding slightly, "if you're a friend of Vanessa's, then have a seat." He turned to Henry. "What about you, sir? Are you okay with that?" My grandfather looked at me. I said nothing. Just kept my face unreadable. After a moment, he gave a small nod. "Fine by me." Just then, Margaret's gaze landed on Mason's wrist. Her smile faltered. "That watch, where did you get it?" Before Mason could respond, Vanessa stepped in casually. "Oh, I asked Ethan to give it to him. It's old anyway, and Ethan has plenty of watches. No point letting it go to waste when someone else can use it." The room went still. Margaret's face turned from confusion to fury. "That watch was the first birthday gift you ever gave Ethan. He's treasured it for years. How could you just give it away like that?" Vanessa blinked. The color drained from her face. Only now did it seem to hit her, what that watch really meant. "Mason, she started. But I cut her off. A gift's a gift. No point taking it back. Besides," I looked at her steadily. "I don't like it anymore." Vanessa's eyes flew wide open. Shock. Disbelief. And underneath it, something cracking. "You don't like it?" she snapped. "Well, don't come begging me to get it back for you later. You said it yourself." I smiled. "I won't." Vanessa faltered. Her brows twitched. That false confidence she always wore, like armor, wavered. And that flicker of panic she tried to hide? It grew. Fast. Vanessa paused, thinking. Then poured herself a glass of red wine and raised it with forced composure. "All right," she said, tone deliberately light. "It was my mistake asking you to give the watch to Mason. I'll drink to that as an apology." She downed the wine in one go, then added. "But you're not completely innocent either. I forgot what that watch meant, but you remembered. You should have reminded me. So now it was my fault?" I said nothing, just watched her finish the wine like it might wash away the insult. Suddenly, Mason spoke up. "I didn't realize the watch had sentimental value," he said awkwardly. "I never would have taken it if I had known." He quickly unbuckled it and held it out to me. "Here, take it back." I didn't even glance at it. I don't take back things that have already been used. "Ethan." Vanessa snapped, voice rising. "It's just a damn watch. Do you have to humiliate Mason with all this passive-aggressive nonsense?" I stayed calm, voice steady as ever. "Humiliate?" I echoed. "No. I just stated a fact." Then I added. "Applies to the object, and the person." Silence. The entire room went still. Not a breath. Not a clink of glass. Even the air seemed to pause. Vanessa stood up abruptly, face cold, eyes sharp. "What the hell is that supposed to mean?" she demanded. I turned toward my grandfather. Henry calmly set down his teacup and looked across the table at Richard and Margaret. Actually, the reason we asked you here today was to discuss calling off the engagement. Calling it off? Richard and Margaret spoke in unison, stunned. You can't just throw words like that around, Richard said quickly. This is marriage we're talking about, Margaret added. It's not a joke. It's not a joke, I said, my voice even. I'm the one who made the decision. I don't think people who don't love each other should force themselves into a future they'll both regret. Vanessa's eyes locked on mine. You're saying we don't love each other? Her voice shook. You don't love me anymore? I gave a small smile. That's right. No, she said, louder now, her voice rising with disbelief. No. I don't believe you. She snapped. Her voice turned into a shout. Why? Tell me why. You owe me that much. Why? I raised my hand slightly and pointed to Mason's wrist. The watch still gleamed there, oblivious to the damage it had done. Did she really need me to spell it out? Vanessa fell silent. Her mouth opened, then closed again. Finally, her voice came back, angry and defensive. So that's it? Over that? I already said I was wrong. I apologized. What more do you want? Over that? I let out a soft, bitter laugh. Of course. Of course she'd call it just a small thing. The one item I cherished most, the one thing I treated like a keepsake of our history, handed off like a leftover, then dismissed like it never mattered. That's when I knew. She really didn't love me. Not in the way that counts. Richard finally spoke, his voice strained. You know how Vanessa is, she didn't mean any harm. Margaret nodded quickly. She's been spoiled, that's our fault. Please, Ethan, try to be more patient with her. I shook my head. There are things you don't know. And honestly, I didn't want to say them. Vanessa slammed her palm on the table. Say it then, she shouted. I want to hear what I've done that's so unforgivable. My expression went cold. I hadn't wanted to embarrass her, not in front of everyone. But if she insisted. Fine. I met her eyes, voice low but cutting. That night, you were drunk. You asked Mason to walk you back to your dorm. But you never made it back. One man. One woman. One night. Do you really want me to spell out what everyone else has already guessed? Her breath caught. She looked down, shame flickering across her face. Richard's hand slammed the table. Unbelievable, he barked. Vanessa, answer me. Is Ethan telling the truth? Where were you that night? Mason hurt his back. I stayed with him. At the hospital. Margaret gasped, almost choking on air. She reached across the table and smacked Vanessa sharply on the head. You foolish girl. Ethan is your fiancé. And you spent the night with another man, because he was injured? What the hell do you expect Ethan to think? Richard stared at her, eyes narrowed, voice hard. And that's all that happened? Just sitting in a hospital all night? It is. I swear. Mason can tell you. Mason, say something, please. All eyes turned to him. Mason said nothing. Just sat there. Silent. Vanessa's face crumpled, the color draining from it. Her voice cracked. Mason. But he wouldn't look at her. Vanessa turned to me, her voice uncharacteristically soft. Ethan. I stayed with Mason because he was hurt. That's all. I wasn't thinking clearly, and I forgot to call you. But please, you have to believe me. I never did anything to betray you. I looked up slowly, my gaze cold and unreadable. Then I reached into my pocket, pulled out my phone, and placed it face up on the table. Then look. She leaned forward. The screen displayed a photo, Mason and Vanessa. Naked. In bed. Locked in an embrace. Margaret gasped, her fingers trembling as she pointed at her daughter. You. She was too stunned to speak. Richard shot to his feet, his voice shaking with rage. You disgrace. The sound of his palm slapping Vanessa's face cracked through the room. Vanessa didn't even flinch. She just stared at the photo, pale and dazed, her head slowly shaking. No, that's not possible. That photo, how do you even have that photo? Then something clicked. Her eyes widened. She turned to Mason. It was you. She pointed at him, voice breaking into a scream. You promised you'd never send that photo to Ethan. You swore. Mason looked devastated, but also strangely calm. I'm sorry, he said quietly. I love you. I love you so much it kills me to think of you marrying someone else. Then he dropped to his knees in front of Richard and Margaret. I know I messed up. But I'm willing to take responsibility. Please, give me a chance. I'll prove I'm just as good as Ethan. I'll spend my life making Vanessa happy. I laughed. Cold. Sharp. The kind of laugh that comes when all the lies finally collapse under their own weight. The truth was out. And it was ugly. You really are something, I said, my voice bone dry. So calculating, makes me feel downright unqualified. I turned to Mason with a thin smile. You want Vanessa so badly? Then I sincerely wish you the happiest of marriages. May you have a long life together, and lots of children. Ethan. Vanessa cried, tears streaming down her face as she lunged for my hand. I pulled away without hesitation. Turning my back to her, I spoke calmly. Grandpa, let's go. Wait, Richard said, rising from his seat. Ethan. Henry. Please, just one moment. I'll make sure this is handled properly. Then he turned. His gaze landed on Vanessa, who stood trembling, her eyes glassy with tears and disbelief. He shot her a sharp glare filled with disappointment and fury. Then he sat back down, slowly, deliberately, and looked down at Mason, who was still kneeling on the floor. His voice dropped to a chill. Did I hear you correctly just now? You said you're not inferior to Ethan? He scoffed. Look at yourself. Every item on your body, your shirt, your shoes, your watch, none of it is yours. It's all his. So tell me again, on what grounds are you his equal? Mason's face flushed deep red. His breath hitched as he scrambled to respond. That's only because I wasn't born into what he has. If I had the same starting line, I could have done even better. Richard's eyes narrowed. So your brilliant plan was to leverage my daughter? He stared Mason down, every ounce of loathing now fully visible. There was no more pretending. And no, Mason stammered. That's not it. I love Vanessa. Without her, I wouldn't have made it through school. I probably wouldn't even eat some days. Oh. Margaret, now composed, finally spoke. In that case, I suppose your love for Vanessa is understandable. Mason's face lit up in relief. But Margaret's tone turned icy. Then let me ask you, was Vanessa the only one who ever helped you at school? Was she the only one who showed you kindness? Mason's lips parted. No words came out. Why her? Margaret pressed. Why not someone else? Why not one of the many others who offered support? Why is it only her that you fell in love with? Mason was drenched in sweat now, unable to form a single excuse. He turned to Vanessa, his voice trembling, desperate. Please, believe me. I love you. I really do. But the silence that followed was louder than any reply. Shut up. Vanessa's voice cracked like a whip across the room. I finally see you for who you really are, she snapped at Mason, her eyes burning with fury. I must have been blind all this time. You keep saying you love me, but what have you actually done? You preyed on my sympathy, used it to wedge me further and further away from Ethan. You promised you wouldn't do anything behind my back, and then you went and sent him that photo. Don't lie to me. This was never about love. You just wanted what I could give you. You used me. She shook her head in disgust. You're not even worth one of Ethan's damn toes. Mason's face turned scarlet, humiliation rising up his neck. But Vanessa didn't even look at him anymore. She turned to me. Reached for my hand again. I was wrong, she whispered, voice shaking. He fooled me. But not anymore. I won't let him manipulate me again. Please, she said. Give me another chance. I swear, the only one I've ever truly loved is you. I gently pulled my hand from hers. My eyes didn't soften. My voice didn't break. You say Mason tricked you. Lied to you. Manipulated you. But what about the night you slept with him? Was that part of the manipulation too? The color drained from Vanessa's face. She stared at the floor, unable to meet my eyes. I let out a bitter, quiet laugh. Don't say you didn't know what you were doing. You knew. You always knew. You just didn't care. You thought my love gave you immunity. That no matter what you did, I'd forgive you. I stepped back. But here's the thing. I don't love you anymore. My grandfather and I stepped out of the hotel. Ethan. Vanessa's voice rang out behind us, broken and desperate. She came running after me, tears already streaming down her face. Mason followed close behind. Vanessa caught me just as I was about to get into the car. She clung to my arm, sobbing uncontrollably. Don't go, please, she cried. I know I messed up. I was wrong. I'll do anything, just please, forgive me. Then Mason dropped to his knees with a loud thud. All of this was my fault, he shouted. Please don't blame her, Vanessa loves you more than anything. She can't live without you. I stared down at him, cold and silent. Even now, he was still playing the part, faithful, selfless, romantic. It was all an act. A well-rehearsed one. Vanessa gripped my wrist tighter, trembling. If it'll make a difference, I'll kneel too. She started to lower herself. I caught her before she could. Don't, I said quietly. I can't afford that. The words hit her like a slap. She broke down completely, her sobs turning raw and violent. What do I have to do? She cried. What will make you forgive me? I looked her in the eye, calm and steady. You're mistaken, I said. I don't hate you. Not anymore. Because once the love is gone, the hate goes with it. Vanessa's body swayed. Her knees buckled slightly, like the air had been knocked out of her. No, she screamed. I don't believe you. We grew up together. 20 years, we've been everything to each other. You can't have forgotten all that. You're lying. I looked at her for a long moment. Really looked at her. And all I saw was a stranger. Does it even matter if it's a lie anymore? No, 20 years of memories don't just vanish. But love doesn't care about timelines. It begins in a moment. And it ends just as fast. And when it ends completely. From the moment Vanessa started choosing Mason over me, the ending had already been written. The rest was just us catching up to it. Believe it or don't, I said. Then I pulled her hand off mine, got into the car, and gave a quiet command to the driver. Go. Don't go. In the rearview mirror, I saw her, running barefoot after the car. The wind tore through her carefully pinned-up hair. Her makeup was streaked with tears, her cheeks flushed red. She looked nothing like the perfect, composed Vanessa people were used to seeing. She stumbled. Fell hard. Her knees scraped against the pavement, blood already starting to show. Mason rushed to help her. She shoved him away with both hands, then forced herself back up, limping, crying, still chasing the car like she could somehow outrun reality. I let out a long breath. Faster, I told the driver. She couldn't catch me. And I would never give her another chance. Grandpa, I said that night. I want to leave. I'm going to England. He didn't hesitate. All right. I'll make the arrangements. In the days before I left, I didn't return to campus. But my roommates kept me updated. Mason had started clinging to Vanessa like a shadow, calling, showing up, pleading. She, in turn, shut him down cold. Not only did she reject him publicly, she called him pitiful. A mistake. She even snapped at him in front of classmates, calling him a toad trying to marry a swan. I knew what that was. It wasn't about Mason. It was for me. She was hoping my friends would carry those words back to me. Hoping I'd hear and soften. But she didn't understand, there are some doors you close. And never open again. She was the one who shattered what we had, 20 years of history, love, and blind devotion, broken by her own hands. And now? Now she wanted to piece it back together, as if love were something that could simply be reassembled. But once something breaks, it never truly returns to what it was. Even if you glue it back together, the cracks remain. The lines are always visible. Without Vanessa's favor, Mason's life on campus unraveled quickly. People had seen what he'd done, how he wormed his way into her life, how he'd played the victim and the lover all at once. Now he had no one. No friends. No sympathy. Just whispers behind his back. Whenever he walked through campus, people turned to stare. Some shook their heads. Others laughed quietly. A toad, they said, trying to marry a swan. The day before my departure, Brandon texted me. Mason snapped. He couldn't take the pressure. His mind broke. I read the message. Just stared at it for a moment. Then replied with a simple, "Oh." No anger. No sympathy. They no longer had anything to do with me, neither of them. What I didn't expect was what happened that night. Vanessa showed up at my door. Soaked to the bone. Kneeling in the rain. Her voice cut through the storm, fragile and trembling. "Please, forgive me. Will you just come out and talk to me? I can't live without you." I stood at the window, watching. Rain streaked down her face, blending with her tears, pooling on the ground beneath her knees. My grandfather appeared beside me, his tone gentle. "Should I let her in? Or do you want to go out?" I didn't take my eyes off her. "No," I said. And I pulled the curtain shut. Then I turned back to my room and resumed packing. I was leaving tomorrow. I didn't need any more unfinished business. The rain kept falling. Her voice kept calling. Until sometime past midnight, it stopped. She collapsed from the cold. A high fever. Rushed to the hospital. The next morning, the day of my flight to the UK, my phone rang. It was Margaret. "Ethan," she said, her voice heavy with worry. "Could you come see Vanessa? She's unconscious from the fever, and even in her sleep, she keeps calling your name." I paused. Hesitated. But in the end, I stayed firm. "Margaret, you know what happened between us. And honestly, I don't owe her anything." "I know," she said quickly. "I know that. And you're right. But, as a mother, I'm begging you. Please. Just come. One last time. I sighed. Checked my watch. All right. When I arrived at the hospital, Vanessa was lying quietly in bed. Only in moments like this did she look truly peaceful. The machines beeped softly around her, steady and rhythmic. There was half an hour left before my flight. Then, as if the timing had been planned by fate, her eyelids fluttered open. At first, she looked confused. Then she saw me. She surged upward, threw herself into my arms, her voice breaking as she clung to me. You came, you finally came. I didn't pull away. I just held her and gently patted her back. Focus on getting better. She nodded fiercely, tears streaming down her face. I will. I'll listen to you, I'll do whatever you say, I promise. I swear. 20 minutes left before departure. I sat by her bedside, holding a small bowl of medicine. Spoon by spoon, I fed it to her myself. She leaned into me, quiet and content, her body curled like a child against my chest. I wish this moment could last forever, she whispered. I wiped the corner of her mouth with a tissue. Don't think about forever. Just focus on getting well. 10 minutes to go. I stood up. She looked up at me, panic flickering behind her eyes. I have to leave, I said. You need to rest. She didn't stop me this time. She just nodded slowly, her fingers trembling around the bedsheet. I gave her one last look. Then turned. No. Vanessa's voice tore through the room. She threw herself forward, arms wrapping tightly around me from behind, like she could merge herself into me if she held on hard enough. I turned around. Slowly. And peeled her arms off my body. I looked her in the eyes. But the warmth was gone. I looked at her the way you look at a stranger. Vanessa, I said calmly. You know this is over. Please, don't make me resent you. Tears welled up in her eyes. I'd rather have you hate me, than forget me, she choked out. Then she collapsed, literally sliding from the bed to the floor, crawling to my legs, clutching them like a lifeline. Ethan. I can't live without you. I gently pulled her up and guided her back onto the bed, helping her sit upright. She stared at me, her cheeks soaked, eyes glassy. Ethan. I didn't respond. I just looked at her for one long, final second. Then turned, and walked out of the room. Her sobs echoed behind me, desperate and raw. But I didn't look back. The final minute. I boarded the plane. Outside the window, the sky stretched out in brilliant blue. Clouds drifted lazily beneath the sun. The world looked clean. Uncomplicated. Then, softly, as if from another life, I heard her voice. Hi, my name's Vanessa. What's yours? Ethan. When I grow up, will you marry me? Ethan. Ethan. Her voice echoed faintly in my memory. I smiled. Calm. Unburdened. Then pulled down my eye mask, slid on my headphones, and leaned back in my seat. Vanessa, goodbye. Forever.